And this Okay, we're gonna forego the technology here. Hi, I'm Ken Graham. I am Vice President of Relief Moms. I am, for at least a couple more weeks, an MBA student here at OSU. I also have a master's degree in mass communications, about 20 years of experience in marketing and advertising, and I'm currently a visiting professor in the School of Journalism and Broadcasting.
Hi, I'm Merritt Graham. I'm president of Relief Moms. My background is in early childhood education, business, and I'm a fourth-generation entrepreneur. Relief Moms is a personal assistant referral system. We've given Relief Moms the theme of American baseball because you know how in baseball, when the pitcher's tired, they bring in a relief pitcher? Well, in life, when people are tired from their overworked, busy days, we bring in a relief mom. We'd like to thank you for giving us your time today. And speaking of time,
Yeah, one of the biggest problems that society has is the problem of time, or more specifically, the lack of time. I mean, how many of you in your busy schedules have said, God, I really wish I had more hours in the day, right? I mean, we can all relate to that. And I mean, it makes you wonder, has anyone ever in the history of mankind been able to get all the things done that you need to get done?
well, actually they did. Have you ever heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a family? Well, history shows us that our ancestors actually did use an entire village to help them manage their day. But as you know, it's not like that today. Today we have so many things to do in our days that sometimes we find ourselves overworked and overstressed.
Yeah, and that problem of stress, I mean, we all can relate to that. What that rushed schedule and the stress that you wind up having and what that does to you and how that affects you. And it affects your health and it affects your relationships and it affects everything around you. Do you all agree with that? Well, I'll tell you what, the National Institute of Mental Health agrees too, because they say about 30 million Americans suffer from stress-induced anxiety. And the World Health Organization said there's 121 million people who suffer from stress-related depression.
And the FBI, according to them, they say that juvenile delinquents are more likely to commit crimes in the hours after school when the parents aren't home. So too much stress, health problems, divorce, juvenile delinquency are just some of the problems that our society can face due to the lack of time. Why is this? Because some of us are spending a lot of our time on busy work instead of taking the time to do what we need to do, to take care of ourselves, our health, to spend our time, our extra time with our significant other or our family. Relief Moms puts hours back in the day. Specifically, we give back discretionary time. Imagine having another you, someone that you could call on any time of the day with your smartphone. Hey, I need you to come pick up my dry cleaning while you go play catch with your son. Or say you found out that someone is coming into town unexpectedly at the last minute and you're busy at work, you've got way too much things to do, so you call a relief mom and you say, hey, I need you to come out and mop my floors and iron my clothes while you go have dinner with your family. So you're probably wondering, how in the world are we going to do this? Well, we didn't come up with a cloning machine.
And we didn't invent a time machine either, but what we have come up with is a unique way using technology to provide the everyday average person access to their very own personal assistant on demand.
Simply put, Relief Moms is a membership-based personal assistant referral system that uses technology and call center operations to provide everyday people with the time-saving benefit of having their very own background-screened professional assistant. What makes Relief Moms unique is that we give everyday people, by the click of a mouse, a luxury that was once only affordable to the super rich and the elite. We make that luxury affordable. For about the cost of a tank of gas, everyday people can have access to their very own personal assistant. Wouldn't you like one?
And we've created a number of different service offerings to meet the varying needs of people that may be inclined to use our service.
Relief Mom Home Team is a monthly membership that provides in-home personal assistant that handles the domestic services at home on an as-needed basis. And Relief Mom Utility is a 90-day membership package that provides access to a virtual professional assistant via email, text, or phone 24/7 to provide simple tasks remotely as they come up.
And our Relief 65 product is a product that is very similar to our Relief Mom Home Team product, where it provides an in-home assistant, but it's going to be specifically tailored to the unique needs of retirees. And our Relief Pros, well, this is going to be marketed to corporations as an executive employee benefit perk to have a pool of personal assistant hours that executives can actually use on demand as well.
And the seventh inning stretch is a one-time service bundle that's designed to truly give mom a break from it all. This bundle provides an in-home Relief Mom home team player and a certified professional babysitter for a minimum of 4 hours.
Now, Relief Moms is going to launch operations in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But as you guys may have already been thinking, we've got web-based applications, cloud server technology, call center operations. We may actually, Relief Moms could pretty much exist anywhere. What would only be missing would be that local element of that unique, high-service, in-home personal assistant. And that's exactly what we hope to do in year 4 when we begin franchising operations. But since Relief Moms is starting in Tulsa, let's take a look at the Tulsa number. Tulsa is going to be, Relief Moms will be targeting households to make $75,000 and above. And in the Tulsa market, you see that there's over 86,000 family households that make that income requirement. And if we're talking about national numbers, just for grins, there's 18.8 million family households that make over $75,000 in the United States right now. And what about growth? We know that the economy hasn't been so great these last few years, but IBIS World projects close to 3% annual growth rate for the personal services industry, topping out around $30 billion in 2014.
So, who are our primary buyers? Demographically, they're white, college-educated professionals between the ages of 30 and 64, have a household income of more than $60,000 a year. We've designated 5 market segments with the following names: playgroups, supermoms, early boomers, late boomers, and professionals. Playgroups are married, at-home moms and dads with at least one child under the age of 6 living at home. They're between the ages of 25 and 35 years old. They're in their early to mid-career, and they've decided to leave the workforce to take care of their family. Supermoms are working, married, or single parents between the ages of 35 and 54. They're in middle management, professionals, or they own their own business. They have a very busy schedule, trying to keep up with homework, domestic type work at the office, and their own families.
Now, our next 2 segments come from the baby boom generation, and we've labeled them early boomers and late boomers. Late boomers representing the youngest of the baby boom generation. These folks are 45 to 64 years old, are usually in senior management in their careers, and often referred to as the sandwich generation because they also have young kids living at home, but they also are caring for an elderly or aging parent as well. The early boomers are the oldest of the baby boom generation. These are the boomers that have already entered into retirement, and this is who we're going to target with our Relief 65 product. And then we have the professionals that we'll target with the Relief Pros. And again, these will be mid to large-sized corporations who are looking to provide a unique corporate benefit perk to their executives, and it will be pooled personal assistant hours that they can use on demand, either with a live personal assistant or the virtual assistants, and help the corporations as well by cutting on employee costs, by outsourcing the personal assistants for their executives.
Professionals, parents, seniors polled all have something positive to say about Relief Moms. 2 that stand out: Sandy, who's a mother and a professional, she says, "The fact that your contractors are background screened makes your company even more attractive to me. Relief Moms is a very unique business with a definite market," says Dan, a senior vice president commercial lender. Marketing success for Relief Moms is driven by repeat sales and referral business, based on the fulfillment of our brand promise, which is to deliver outstanding client service and to continually exceed client expectations.
Now, in order for us to be able to do that, obviously we have to build a little bit of awareness for our service. And we're going to do that by advertising in traditional media We'll also have a very active and social networking and social marketing campaign, and we'll also have a very targeted public relations program. But what's most important for Relief Moms is our concept of branding. Merritt mentioned that we've built this idea around the theme of American baseball. And not only have we used that as an idea for our logo, but it's really, we built it into the entire corporate culture. Because what this does for us is it gives Relief Moms a very unique and memorable identity, but also a very endearing one in the American psyche. Who doesn't love baseball? So who are the key revenue drivers? As we said, it's going to be the income-rich time poor households. And we've targeted the super moms and the boomer group are going to account for approximately 80% of our sales. Looking at our margins, we're probably going to be about 67.2% on our gross margins, with total fixed costs for the first 2 years is about $1.1 million. Our break even comes in month 24. We will see positive cash flow in months 8 through 12. Then we're going to add some staff in year 2. And then we'll dip down a little bit, and then we'll see continual positive cash flow beginning in month 17, and then again break even in month 24. So looking at our economic model, our sales model, we're targeting annual sales growth of about 10%, but what really drives revenue for Relief Moms is the repeat business. It's the people that keep coming back to that exceptional client service. And we're targeting client retention rates of 80%. That 80% is what really puts sales through the roof. These sales numbers represent about 1 to 2% of that 85,000 Tulsa households. So, what have we done so far? Where are we today? Well, Relief Moms was incorporated as an Oklahoma S Corp in January of 2010. We've applied for trademarks for our brand as well as for some of the other product brands that we've created. We are in the process of creating a contractor training program. We have RFPs in process for call center operations, for cloud computing, for software solution development as well. And we've also recently secured a contract with Hide and Seek USA, who will be performing the background screening on all of our contractors, employees, and our clients as well. So how are we going to deliver this exceptional client service? Well, we're going to do it in a couple ways. We're going to have full-time employees, and we're also going to have contractors. Full-time employees will bear the majority of the in-home personal assistant service. However, we will have a number of contractors, because perhaps we have a client who says, hey, I need someone with some experience in party planning or event planning or calligraphy for my Christmas invitation. We'll have a number of contractors on hand that we can send out to service those needs as well. We'll also be paying these fairly well. We have a starting salary of around $15 an hour, which is roughly $30,000 a year. Contractors will receive around the same rate. We're even paid, since we're expecting our employees will be using their vehicles to travel to and from work, we're going to pay them an advertising allowance for driving around with Relief Mom car signs on their vehicles. We'll also be outsourcing a number of our services, legal, accounting, HR support, call center, and messenger services. So how does it all work? How does it all fall together? So here's our picture of our pretty Relief Mom client. She needs to get in touch with us, so she's going to connect with us through the internet, the phone, web, smartphone, or the phone system. It's going to run through our scheduling and dispatch technology software, which is going to direct her either to our 24/7 call center, to her personal calendar, so she can get in touch with her personal assistant and schedule her next call, or it's going to send them directly to the specific Relief Mom franchise office. And now Mary's going to give us a rundown on the management.
As president, I'll be handling human resources, accounting, and sales, and Ken will be handling operations and marketing. In the first year, in addition to outsourcing, we'll be hiring 3 full-time personal assistants and 2 part-time clerical staff. In the second year, we'll bring on board full-time IT and HR staff, in addition to adding 6 personal assistants.
All right, so what's the scoreboard? Well, looking at year 1 from the modified financials that we handed out to our judges here, we're going to have total sales revenue at about $470,000. We'll have a negative net margin, a net loss of $65,000 for the first year. Year 2, we start getting some of those repeat sales in. We're going to have total sales of $1.2 million, and we'll see net margins about 3.5%. And then year three, things really pick up, and we see total revenue of $2.7 million with a net margin close to 8%. Now, just for grins, we threw in some numbers on franchising and looking at years 4 through 6 based on our first few years of financial projections. We anticipate having 34 franchises 3 years after we start our franchising operations, which would result in about $850,000 in franchise fees and $2.1 million in royalties paid to Relief Moms. So what will it take to get us started? Well, initially we're looking at about $41,000 in startup costs. Merritt and I have committed to putting in $25,000 of our own money, which has us looking for an SBA loan for around $16,500. The big one is a $100,000 line of credit that we would need to cover operations, employee salaries during the first 2 years of operations until we hit break even.
Guess what? With Relief Moms, there's no more of this. For about the cost of a tank of gas, you can have access to your own personal assistant. With Relief Moms, you have all the time in the world. You have your freedom. Relief Moms, we give more time for you. And
we'd like to thank all of you for spending your time with us. And with that being said, we'll be happy to field your questions.
Business plans for a brief period of time, so we apologize in advance for some of the questions that may be lightly researched. You obviously have a fantastic presentation and you do a great job of presenting. The first comment I'd like to make is I think it's very, very bad business to put the term white into your business plan. It's bad business from a marketing standpoint. It's bad business from a money raising standpoint. If that's what your market research tells you, that's something to keep in mind for yourself. But this thing is completely inappropriate and it's completely limited. So
I appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
A couple of questions. Number one, I guess just on a fundamental basis, I think most people feel that their children and their home are their two most precious possessions. And the concept of kind of having an outsourced, impersonal, even though it's screened, and screening is an imprecise science, I know it's very limited, and the ability that we're able to screen employees from past employers. I just like your comments on it. It seems questionable to me that people are going to allow people they don't know to go pick up their children and drive them, that they're going to allow people they really don't know to come into their houses, that they're going to give them keys or access to that, I guess, on a fundamental basis. You made kind of in your presentation, you talked about $11 to $15 an hour people, and now in your verbal presentation you said $15 an hour people. So also I would point out that in your marketing you said in there you were targeting $50,000 or $60,000 a year income on page 20, and you said $75,000 in this verbal presentation. It just seems to me, when I asked my wife, read this morning at breakfast, it just seems to me that I'm not going to turn over a key to my house to somebody that I don't know, and I'm not going to let somebody that I don't know go pick up my children. So can you just address or answer that?
Yes, you're right. Most people feel the same way. We do, with two children of our own. That is exactly why we've decided to bring on board full-time, salaried personal assistants. For that exact reason. The clients will be able to, number one, they'll be able to go on the website and see a picture of the personal assistants that we have, and also there will be a profile of that person, and they will have the same person go to their house, kind of similarly to how a cleaning service operates today. You have the same people come out every week. Ours would be set up the same way. They would have the same person come out. If that's what they sign up on their membership to have, someone come out once or twice every other week, they would have the same person.
Right. And to address your issue on picking up your kids, that is not something that we are prepared to include because there's the liability involved with actually picking up and transporting other people to certain things. So for now, definitely for now, we have not included that as part of the service we provide. And then you mentioned the income issue. The meat of our sales is going to come from the 75,000 plus. We have some for the seventh inning stretch product, and we have a lower level Relief Mom utility product, which is more affordable for kind of those lower income ranges. So that's why we've mentioned 50,000, I think, or 60,000 in the plan. But the biggest meat, the biggest revenue drivers are going to come from that 75,000 plus group.
Page 12 of your business plan, it says that you're expecting to hit 30% of the Tulsa market as penetration as customer base.
Yes, I like to call that a very aggressive Red Bull moment, or fat finger typing. That really should have been a 3%. And like I said, our income projections right now, we're looking about 1.5% to 2% is what we're looking at. That was, that's just, I'll pass that off to the Red Bull folks.
Yes, you say right here, for an example, somebody's going to pay $304 a month for the Relief Mom 16. What are you assuming will be the utilization? I mean, I guess if you divide 25 into that, I guess it turns out to be, 12 hours. But what are you actually assuming they will end up utilizing it in your model?
We envision the Relief Mom home teams primarily to be used for domestic type services. Now you may hire Mary Maids or some other company. You'll pay them a very similar price, around $300 a month. They'll send a team out, and what they'll do, they'll vacuum the floors, they'll do the dusting, they'll do this, that, and the other. But that's where it stops. If you ask a Mary Maids to go fold your laundry or take care of some ironing for you, they're going to say, oh, sorry, we don't do that. That's the difference in our services. We will provide these domestic services, but what we provide is going to be generally directed by the client. It's client-directed service. Hey, I don't need you to clean my house this week. I have my house, it's pretty okay. What I really need help with is someone to help me get this pile of laundry or ironing out of the way. So that's where we perceive the primary utility of that product.
And it's not just ironing or laundry. I mean, it can be, whatever helps that person, in their life, to make their life easier. Shopping for Christmas presents, wrapping, addressing envelopes, planning parties, packing boxes, unpacking, that busy work that you could be spending with your family is what they would call us to do.
Is there any liability insurance that you signed up with, any bonding of any type?
Yeah, we will actually. There's a personal assistant type bond that we have looked into. It's about I don't have the number on the top of my head, but yeah, there are some surety bonds. Of course, we'll have a corporate liability policy as well that will cover our employees' father and someone else's home as well.
Is it factored into your business case?
Yes, it is figured into that monthly fixed expenses.
What's your current competitive environment in Tulsa for this service?
You want to fill that one?
Sure. There are no businesses like this other than an errand running company, and we're not sure if they're in business. There's a company that's similar to this that's I think in New York. And we looked at that company. They're very successful, and we took a lot of their good ideas as well. But locally, other than Mary Maids and the home cleaning companies, those would probably be our only other competitors.
Okay. In terms of when I originally saw it was like a disconnect for Relief Moms in the baseball concept with a female target. But I understand. I mean, you made more sense and it really resonated. But my comment, in the selling process, when you're initially trying to attract customers, do you physically meet them? Because then all subsequent interfaces with you is online. I need to have trust with you before I turn over myself to you? What's that selling process?
Right. We have talked about the initial phone call, making an appointment with that prospective client and going out to their house and sitting down with them and discussing how our business works and, you know, asking them questions and what kind of work would they meet them, let them have a chance to meet us and feel good about the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we will have on staff full-time employees that are really going to be filling this assistant role. So we would go out maybe as Merritt or I with that assistant. This is going to be Jan, your personal assistant, and get to meet her, get to know the client, get to know the client's needs. Because it's equally important for us, not just that our workers are background screened, and we know that they're of high moral character. Getting to know who these clients are as well is just as important. That's why we've contracted with Hide and Seek to not only background screen our employees and contractors, but also the people who we're going to be sending people out to. So that's equally important. But it's that personal assistant that's really going to forge that relationship with the client. That's our front line right there.
Two other questions. Presume you're not looking for outside loan on this, you're looking for an SBA loan? Because on outside, 7 or 8% interest would be very, very unlikely. And if you're going to the SBA, that white phrase is going to kill you.
So we'll be sure to edit that before we forward that out to them. And yes, the line of credit is something that we know the banking environment is right now. We're not sure how that's going to be. We may be looking for a venture capitalist or someone who's interested in being an equity partner. We'll be certainly open to discussions on that as well.
Could you just give a comment and pass on the utilization of your employee labor? Looks like to me it's going to be a huge issue. Looks like everyone's going to call at 3 o'clock and need tasks from 4 to 6, and you're going to have the same problem as vacation house rentals, and everybody wants it on the holiday type of a deal. It's, how do you pay these people the rest of the time?
The Relief Mom home team, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Our hours, we stop work at 7 o'clock. The virtual assistant, where the client can text, you know, I need you to run these errands for me. That's a 24-hour service. But the Relief Mom home team, we wouldn't be sending people out at 3 in the morning.
Couple of questions. I come from a technology background, so I always kind of read these things with an interesting eye. The estimated cost of completing the online system is $15,000 to $25,000. For the type of infrastructure you're talking about, notwithstanding all the great cheap cloud computing alternatives out there, that just sounds a little low.
Well, and that's what we were looking for, just kind of the front end kind of web application. But yeah, ultimately this should be driven through kind of the back end stuff, which we will lease, which I think we will certainly keep those capital costs down. Building an enterprise system, I don't think is really in our future right now, just given, like you mentioned, the huge expense involved. But we think that $15,000 to $25,000, we can certainly get the front end set up and be able to have the lease on the cloud computing and all that kind of stuff set up.
That's fair. Question about the people who are providing these services, the CSRs. Now, I've heard you mention both full-time people who are your employees. I've also heard you mention contractors who might be paid somewhere in the $11 per hour range. I'm confused who's doing what. Are they your employees? Are they not your employees? And I ask, there are two particular things I'm interested in. One is, what is the chain of legal responsibility for the acts of company with regard to that difference of them being an employee versus a contractor, and how have you factored that into the plan?
Well, obviously the full-time employees would be covered by our corporate kind of umbrella insurance policy. So, you know, any liability, they, in the home, and they knock over a $5,000 vase or whatever that might be. Obviously, that will be covered by the corporation if that was an employee. Contractors are going to be a little bit outside that, and we've had some discussions, and this is something that obviously when you have a service business and you have a service where you have people going into other people's homes, it's a big rat's nest of issues, and we've understood that. We've been having ongoing discussions with legal advisors and whatnot over the course of the last several months, and we still haven't necessarily nailed down a specific answer to your question, but it's something that we're looking at, and the issue of contract laborers versus employees, obviously that's something that's come up a number of times during the course of this process.
There's a similar model out there in Tulsa called Seeking Sitters that is kind of set up like this, and they use primarily contract labor, and they've seen a great deal of success with how that works, and so that's why we have some part-time
contractors and full-time
thank you,
employees, yes.
and full-time employees.
I guess my comment is, when I look at the financials, the line that I probably have the least confidence in may go back to a question that was already asked, dealing with your insurance and legal costs.
Mm-hmm.
I think they may be, personally, I think they might be significantly understated. Those are complex matters.
Right. And like I said, it's kind of been a little bit of an ongoing process, and the numbers tend to change. But when you have a deadline to get things in, sometimes, we're kind of stuck with what we had, and that's kind of part of what is an ongoing thing.
So I only have one final question, and that is, for that category of supermom out there who is doing all those things or whatever, or the super dads out there, a lot of those super dads and super moms really like being super. Right?
Yes.
Have you test marketed this concept of relief moms? Do your prospective customers like the thought that what they're really being invited to do is have relief? Do they identify with that?
Well, as the marketing guy, I can say that we have not done a formal study, as a formal concept study. What we do have is lots of anecdotal input. We've talked to a number of people in kind of setting up and in discussing wants and needs. But the one thing we always get back, especially from whether they're a super mom or they're a stay-at-home or it's always the same thing. It's, especially family, when they have kids around, I need more time, it'd be great if I had somebody come out and babysit the kids, but my God, would they vacuum them off and do all this other stuff too over there? I mean, that's some of a lot of the anecdotal stuff we're getting. We have not done a formal market study, though, to test this concept.
A couple quick things. Obviously, you can't be everything to everybody, but you have Relief Moms, you have Relief 65, you have Relief Pros. If you're going to pick one, which one are you choosing?
The Relief Moms, it's the Relief Moms and the Relief 65, and that's really where we feel that the market is. In those super moms and in the boomer, in the early and late boomer groups. Those are the people that have the money. Those are the people that, with the exception of the that's just part of their personality is a need to serve, and that's just kind of who they are. Those are the people who really want it. It's people who are excited to go out, and they're not going out to someone's house because it's a job and I'm going to make a couple bucks. People are excited to help people, and that's really what we're about.
How many of those, we've talked a lot about the demand side of this business, moms doing this, calling, things like that. What about the supply side? Those people you just described, that's the raw material of this business, right?
Absolutely.
Now, you have some beautiful pictures there of these chipper-looking people, maybe early 20s, who have a lovely shirt on, and I guess they're working for $11 an hour. I guess my question is, how many of those people are there? I mean, is there a supply side issue or constraint on this business model?
We're going to be looking at areas of universities, churches, and also we've discovered that in our market there's a lot of stay-at-home moms that don't want a career. They don't want even a full-time job. They're just looking for some extra income to support, and they're the perfect type of person that we want because, you
They
know,
understand
they
people's
understand.
needs. They understand where this
And,
other person is.
You know, $11 an hour for a second income, and when the husband has, you know, insurance and everything, that would be a good setup for them. So.
In your presentation material, I would like to see a better profile of who your client, what your client looks like, and perhaps even a menu of services that you go through with that client, and a better idea of where you're going to, the selection process for the contractors and employees. I think that would give me a much greater sense of your stability. Just a comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.